Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I'm a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on January 17th, 2025 at approximately 9 p.m. PST. Now, I have made it my life's journey. Try that again. I have made it my life's purpose to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. Now, I build myself as a spiritual guide. I love that. I build myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally use in my day to day life. And the philosophies of life I talk about are the same philosophies I guide virtually every movement I make by. Now, with this in mind, I know these tools will work for you because they continue to work for me and have literally worked for thousands of other people with varying degrees of success depending on their own personal efforts. Now, tonight we are going to be taking a look at that ages old, complicated little journey, politics. But we're looking at it from a neutral approach. Now, it's already been it's already been pinned to the top, okay, that any inflammatory remarks about any politician or any political party, or for that matter, any governmental arraignment, okay, any inflammatory, you will simply get one warning at best, and then you'll just get booted. You'll still be able to listen, but here's the thing, okay. Now, right off the bat, before I get into it, we have Storm handling all the tech in the background. He's also the one that manages to override a lot of the complicated problem children we do get, which makes it really convenient from my standpoint. Okay, so thanks very much for that, Storm. And then we have LA Moon, who is in the chat room to keep an eye on what's going on there. And honestly, she tends to keep an eye on keeps an eye on my own personal health. So you'll be happy to know, yes, I've already had dinner, and not too much of it. I haven't actually had a lot of coffee today, but boy, have I got the water going. Which, according to some, is pretty much the way I make my coffee. But here's the thing. Where it comes to politics, every single person, every single entity in existence is, when you boil it down to it, you're all politicians. You all have your own points of view, your own goals. You all, and I do mean you all do. And usually there are some that don't. But the reality of it is, even people that are a little mentally slower than others, okay, still have their own goals. Now, all the prayers, all the well-wishing, all the hopeful thinking is wonderful. It keeps you focused on the positive. But what we have to realize is I've been around for a long time, and I'm not just talking the 61 years of this life. Okay, Rachel, you are in with the gold. How you doing? Glad you could join us. I trust things are going well on your end. Now, who do we got? Oh, did I miss Willard coming in? No. Okay, I'll worry about that later. But the reality of politics is this: vying for your own successes. Operation Shutdown, how are you? Glad you could join us. And you are correct. I knew it could be. Operation Shutdown is just saying this is going to be an explosive episode if we let it get out of hand. And this is why, when you look at all of the politicians out there, we hear about all the bad things they're doing. Absolutely. Okay. I am so tired of hearing what everybody has said they were going to do and did something else altogether. I'm telling you, I have seen very few variations in politicians or political parties. Okay. The thing that always concerns me is these great big issues get pasted on the front page. Here's what we're doing. My biggest question is what's going on in the background. I gotta ask, now I'm seeing Willard being referred to here. I honestly don't see Willard in here though. Renee, how you doing? You are in with the silver. Although you might be the bronze, I'm still looking for where Willard came in. Because I just do not see him. Which, okay, I'm not going to worry too much about that.
Keith,
Anyway.
the post I have on screen right now was when he came into the chat. So,
I see. Okay.
Okay.
Okie doke. That would explain that. Now, the neat part of, well, what do we got there? Oh, that's the part that I didn't see. Willard has written in, I do agree we're staying on the political, but had astral projection telepathically with JFK, RFK, and Marilyn Monroe. Okay, that is, I do wish you the best of luck with that, Willard, and absolutely drop me a line. I will certainly talk to you about that outside of tonight's outside of tonight's venue. But I do appreciate the insight, the information. Now, here's the neat little thing. Where it comes to politics, when I say everyone is a politician, I literally mean everybody from all the way from the kids in diapers up to the blades of grass. Okay, all inclusive. Every one of you has a goal or has a mission in mind. Now, in the kids that are still wearing diapers, odds are their goal in mind is get something neat or get their backside changed. I swear, some of the adults I talk to have the same mentality. But I have not found a political party that is viably different. They talk about different things. People talk about different things. What I would love people to start doing, and I'm not holding my breath for it, is start talking about the things that are actually being done of a positive nature, not the ones that are saying, let's fear everything going on. Okay, the important factor here is we elect people. Sometimes they get elected, sometimes they get appointed, depending on the governmental system. But the important thing is they end up in a position of leadership. Leadership, in my opinion, should be a case of show people how to get along, meaning all laws have to be equally enforced, no matter what your gender, no matter what your income level or your position in society. If they are not applying to everyone, you will have a culture that fragments. Okay, and you'll be at odds right off the bat. Okay, if that fragment does not have laws that are laid out that apply to everybody, it will fracture again. And in case you hadn't noticed, okay, in case you hadn't noticed, this whole idea of fragmenting society has taken on a whole new dimension with the whole political field. Okay. Willard, the answer is no. I have Skype. I've got Skype, I've got Messenger, and I've got Facebook. And that's pretty much where it ends. Technology and I came to an understanding a long time ago. And I still end up getting bits and pieces of what's going on in the political field. But here's the stupid thing. When people are looking at the events, people have to start realizing, you've got to start looking at what is the motivation. Okay, what is the motivation behind it? Because I'll tell you, with the big issues that are being put out there, the ones that are being reported by the media, my first question is always the same thing. What are you not telling us? You got this great big issue that you know is going to set tempers off. Okay, it's going to polarize society. The idea of a political approach should be the unification. Okay, Blue Cruz, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The neat part about it, okay, when we look at the issue, okay, is if you're in a leadership position, and yes, that means if you're a parent, a teacher, a quote unquote politician, a CEO, it doesn't matter. Your primary goal, you desire your circle of influence to be of a positive nature. It is absolutely critical that that's what you focus on. Focus on an equal balance. Okay, this is why I tell people, you come in here, I'm going to treat you all the same way. Okay, now, I've overstepped on occasion and bottled things up a little, which is where Storm in LA came in. Because I bottled everything and let things go and went, oh, they're just being people. And it caused me a beautiful heart attack. I'm not doing it again. But I will tell you, if society continues down the road it's going, pick your political party, pick your politician. I'm not going to give their name. Okay. I had a politician send me a letter thanking me for my input into their big issue they were pushing for. Now, here's the problem with that. And absolutely pay attention to this if you get these. Okay. When I got the letter, the first thing I looked at was, number one, never in my life have I filled out a survey supporting any politician or any political approach. So that letter, I know that politician I will never vote for. Because what that is, if you get a politician sending out thank you letters to you for something you didn't do, I'm telling you they're padding the ballot box. Okay, they're padding their viewpoint just with numbers. Do not, in my opinion, do not vote for them. You know, the one thing we have to remember, okay, is when we look at this, like I'm just noticing, I'm seeing a whole lot of things going on here. Now, when you're looking at the political field, okay, number one, remember that karmic law. You must be true to you first. This means whatever politics are going on, whatever's going on in your community, make certain that you're following what feels right for you. If it does not, it literally falls to your hands to tell people, I'm not dealing with this. Okay, this is not working well because in my eyes, it literally boils down to if the politicians, if the people making the laws are not following them, the laws are bogus. Now, I will tell you, I still encourage you to follow the laws. Absolutely become vocal about the way that they're not balanced, but follow the laws. Okay, because I don't know about you, but the annoyances I can't, I personally don't like dealing with. I'm pretty certain I'm not going to handle the vertical bar scene well. So if you don't find that the laws that you're seeing are equal, then it's absolutely imperative that you follow them to avoid any extra legal complications, but make no bones about it. Somebody asked me about a particular law. If I feel it's off, I'll tell you it's off. Okay? Politicians have a big job. Okay, and it's gotten lost I hate that word. It has become lost in the whole issue. Okay, because people have put politicians on a massive pedestal. And here's the kicker. Okay, you go into politics of any form. Okay, no matter what it is, we can be talking about. Like I used to be involved in a park society on the board of directors. Okay, and there was corruption there as well. If you're getting donations from people, okay, absolutely. If you desire to take the donation, absolutely. But do not let the money dictate how you vote. Do not let the money dictate how you act. I'll tell you right now, you know, am I pushing to build my industry, to build my business? And my viewpoint? Am I pushing to make it a global and understandable, commitment? Absolutely. But here's the kicker. Someday I may have somebody come to me and go, hey, I'll give you $10,000 towards your efforts, but I want you to do this for me. I'll look at them and go, well, number one, you can want what you'd like, whatever you'd like, because I'm doing things my way. I don't turn down money, don't get me wrong. And this is why the books that I'm working on, and they've just become PDF, but where we are talking about politicians, it doesn't matter whether we're talking male, female, black, white, oriental, doesn't matter whether we are talking democratic, conservative, socialist, dictatorship. They all have positive points and negative ones. But the reality is that it's up to the people. You got to remember, in a city of 100,000 people, you might have 10,000 working directly for the government. This means, okay, you've got 90% of you that dictate what that government is doing. If you don't like what the politicians are up to, you got one of two choices. Do not back them. Okay, this would be the first rule of thumb. Okay, and the second option is to go into politics yourself. Now, I tried my run on politics, so this is as close as I get to it, running my own company. Okay, and I know that there are going to be people that are coming on, that are on the up and coming side. The reality of it is this. Okay, when we are looking at the way this world works, okay, when I talk about a one world government, I am not talking about dictatorship. Okay, because you got to remember, somebody living in the deep south, and when I mean the deep south, I don't mean in the States, I mean living in Brazil, will have no clue about the stresses and challenges of living in the Arctic Circle. Okay, they just won't. So how can they possibly put a rational amount of information and a rational amount of thought onto the problem? You've got to have a party of people with one spokesperson that simply makes sure the flow stays. Okay, in my case, I'm here, and the people that are making certain things stay, okay, are my moderators. Okay, they're the ones that are sitting there going, okay, we've got to stop doing the same thing over and over. I remember, now, you don't have to believe the past life thing, okay, but I've seen political parties over the years. I'm 61, okay. I've seen a lot of political parties come through the different countries. Now, I don't watch politics because I watch people. And you're doing the same thing, okay, that was done years ago with varying degrees of oddity. Okay, the people haven't changed. And if you look back in history, okay, now I look back because of memory, but these are the same problems that have been going on for centuries. And yet we still have people doing odd things. Philip, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality of it is, if we continue on the path we're on, okay, letting the politicians dictate what people are doing, I will tell you, you're going to have the same problem we've had all along. Now, we got a neat little situation. Okay. And this applies to every one of you that's listening. Okay. You desire your economy to climb. Talk to your politicians. You desire work to come back to your area. Talk to your politicians and your CEOs, the industry owners. Get them to bring the industries back to your country. Okay. If you don't have the ability to handle the industry, bring somebody in to train you. Okay. If you're buying from big box companies, by all means do. I understand all too well the problem with finances. All too well. Okay, and I know big box can buy cheap, it can buy less expensive. Or can provide it for less. But here's the kicker. If you're buying from the big box, from companies that are based in another community, the majority of that money is going back to their community, not yours. Okay. Now, with this in mind, that's a political thing. If you're going down that road, oh, Philip goes, we used to have a U.S. political party called the Know Nothing Party. Isn't that about the same as every other party out there? No, I've honestly never heard that one. Of course, I'm Canadian. You know, I'm Canadian and I don't follow politics anyway. But when we are looking at what the politicians are doing, okay, let me ask you this. When you've got a politician that is starting to push their views on another country, okay, ask yourself this. Number one, is said politician on the front lines of said conflict? That's what was done 1,000 years ago. Okay, now somebody sits behind a great big desk, hides behind whatever telephone they can use, and goes, I want somebody else to go pick a fight with somebody. This doesn't work. Not well, anyway. Okay, and what we've got to start doing as a civilization, you'll notice I'm talking global, not any individual. Okay, I am talking about this issue that if you're starting, doesn't matter now. Right now, there's a big thing going on between the States and Canada. Here's the funny part about it. Okay, if you agree with what's going on, carry on. If you don't, simply buy local. Okay, that supports your local community, it supports your local families, and it keeps the money in your community. Net result, a little bit more peace and a little less stress. Maybe a lot less stress. Okay, that's what you've got to start looking at. Not these huge things that are being talked about. Okay, people are no longer thinking about the long term. Okay, this much is clear. So what we've got to start doing is start looking at the side effects of what they're talking about. Okay, like just to give you an idea, people talk about shutting down the oil companies. This is a cute thought. It really is. So let's shut down the oil companies. Except much of your food, your clothing, your computers, by the way, are built on plastic, i.e. oil. Brilliant idea. Shut the oil company down. See how well that works. Or how about the other one? Let's go to hydroelectric and to electric cars run by hydro. The hydro plants are already overloaded. Okay, so where's the logic in it? These are the things we have to look at, not which political party is doing what, not which politician says what. Because you got to remember, politicians, just like teenagers, on the whole, or little children for that matter, on the whole, will tell you what they're looking for in order to get your support. They'll tell you what you desire to hear. Now, you want the proof in the pudding on that one. I used to believe that major media was the problem where it comes to the negative news. Just like you, I'd look at it and go, all the big media corporations, they're the ones pumping it out. Okay, yeah, and LA goes, not to mention manufacture of electric. Yep, that would do it too. I used to believe the media was the problem. And then Facebook hit. And let's not go to the idea of, oh, one guy is controlling all of what's being printed. If that's the case, I'm wondering who is controlling what's coming out of people's mouths. Because I hear the same thing when I go out in public. Okay, the negative information going on, the blame is not coming from the social media, from the major media. It's coming from the individuals. And yes, I've done my fair share of it. Okay, it took me the longest time to figure out that I was causing a problem for myself. And once I did that, all of a sudden everything started to make sense. Okay, when we are looking at the political arena, look in the mirror. Are you following your word? Are you accomplishing the goals you've laid out for you? Or are you making excuses for why you didn't do it? Because I will tell you, this is what a lot of the politicians and CEOs are doing. We can't afford to feed the homeless. So instead of feeding the homeless, we're going to throw the food into the garbage and then complain when the homeless go in and get it. These are the things that people have to look at. Well, I guess technically it's been going on for thousands of years. You really don't have to look at it. Okay, that's entirely up to you. Okay, people are not looking long range. Okay, they're not looking at cause and effect. I got looking into, because I remember the Black Death. Okay, now here's the thing. We had an interesting problem. The Black Death, and this was a political maneuver tied to religion from my recall. And somebody else gets to do the research. My understanding was simple. They had a problem with rats. And then some genius came up with the idea that cats were a problem. They were evil. So let's kill all the cats. Well, that worked out well. Rats overpopulated. And net result, so did the mites and the ticks and what have you that brought the Black Death with it. Now, here's what you're facing right now. Okay, with the climbing rate of living. Okay, there is no functional reason for it, aside from greed. And that is not just the politicians. Okay, and when I talk about politicians, understand, I mean every single one of you is a politician. Every single one of you is a spiritual guide. Whether you believe it or not, you are. You're having an impact on the people around you. Okay, I'm going to jump backwards a little. Okay, to about a month ago, there was this neat little period in time called Christmas. And if you ever get the chance of watching the original, A Wonderful Life, okay, do so. It may trigger a memory for you of just how much of an impact you have on people. Okay, on the people you come around, that you don't even necessarily recognize you're helping. But you desire your political parties to start being honest. Quit backing them on things you don't agree with. Become vocal about the things you don't agree with. And you'll notice I said vocal. I said nothing about having a riot or about having a massive demonstration. Okay, it will make a much bigger impact if you don't, and you're going to love this one, when you desire something to change in a political party, it may be great. Okay. It could be absolutely great to have a mass of people outside of City Hall. Draws all kinds of media attention. Everybody gets to skew the information wherever. But form a line and go into the office. Okay. And literally have them deal with a long stream of problem. But don't buy what you do is you go in and you ask to see whoever you've got in office. Don't give the poor secretary a bad time, because let's face it, she's just a person filling a job. She's trying to keep a roof over her head as well. But when we get a mob of people together, there's this thing called mob mentality. If you've never been caught up in it, don't. It's no fun. Okay. I've seen the after effects of riots. I was caught up in a riot years ago. Okay. And once was enough. I've avoided them ever since. Didn't think much of it. Didn't think it was that much fun anyway. But it's time to start looking at things. What have we got here? We've got to start looking at things and realize if the pattern stays the same as it is. Okay. Now, do your own research. Years and years ago, take a look at the political parties, because I've seen it in multiple countries. Okay. Now, in Canada, we've got the Liberals and we've got the Conservatives. In the States, we've got the Democrats and the Republicans. Take a look at those parties in your own country. And I'm sure they've got other ones in other countries. I just don't know the names of them. Go back 50 years. You'll likely find their viewpoints swap. Okay. Yeah. Philip Blair is just giving us a quote here. A quote by George Carlin. Never underestimate the power of stupid people in large groups. Absolutely. Also known as lemmings. Okay. It is time to think. Now, you've heard me in the middle of talking. I'll be going in, and it's like, think, then speak. Same applies with act. Think, then act. Make certain you think through what you're aiming to get across. See, the fact of the matter is, I was told to learn tact a long time ago. My immediate response was, tact? What the heck are you talking about? The person that told me goes, it's the ability to tell somebody to go to heck and look forward to the trip. I said, I got a problem with that. If I'm mad enough to tell you where to go, why do I care if you're happy about the trip? Okay, in today's world, the political arena, the cost of living, the cost of food, all of it is going through the roof. Okay, in every country I know of, except the ones where you don't actually buy for it, you grow it yourself. Those ones don't have a big problem with inflation. Okay, now, again, we've got this neat little part. We can go to nonprofit organizations and charities and churches that say, we're doing this with your donations. Okay, if they're not, and from my research, the best of them put 30% of your dollar into helping the charity they claimed. I'm telling you, the only way to make absolutely certain from your hands right now. The only way to make absolutely certain is for you to help people directly. Okay, it literally boils down to leadership. That's what I mean. We can go with the normal thing, of politics being many blood-sucking, insects. Well, The funny part about it, well, I can honestly say that kind of depends on where they grow it, but I will tell you, it's usually got a whole lot less additives. You know, and we're not going to get into the organic, inorganic. I'll tell you right now, if your body can digest it, it's organic. It's that simple. I used to have pears in my house that were inorganic. They're plastic. Well, they were. I got rid of them. Didn't taste very, no, had nothing to do with eating them. But when you are looking at your decisions to run your house, you're a political party. Okay? You are the one controlling your life. Whether you want to take responsibility or not, I have proven, quite seriously, I have proven in their eyes to people living on the street, okay, I've proven that they did that by choice. Circumstances were annoying, but there were options. Okay, I proved to a Jehovah's Witness that Jehovah's Witnesses celebrate Christmas. I laid it out so they could understand, and they went, oh my gosh. And I will explain that some other day, because that's one of those neat little things that is a powder keg. Politicians are the same thing, and LA is just giving us a much more accurate quote. Politics is Greek for poly, many, and ticks, a bunch of little blood-sucking creatures. Now, bear in mind, there is a definition of politics. Okay, remember I said every one of you, myself included, is a politician. Nathan, how you doing? Glad you could join us. You know, the reality of it is up to us to decide what we are going to do with our community. Are you going to look down on the people living on the street? Are you going to look up to the people that have a Porsche? Understand, most people, and do your own research, do not take my word for it. Most people that have a brand new car owe for it. Okay, they are in debt up to their eyeballs. Most people don't own a house outright. Okay, it's that simple. So they're up to their eyeballs in debt, but they're living high on the hog. You gotta ask what they're doing to get it. Philip goes, my grandma couldn't eat certain additives. Her body would rush them out the back end. Yeah, I will tell you though, Philip, that's so much better than her body throwing them out the front end. You know, but the important factor here is it is up to you as an individual. If you are, I do recommend you keep an eye on what the politicians are saying, but always ask, what are they not telling you that they're working on? You know, what is it that they're actually doing? Okay, now, I will tell you what I'm seeing happen. I've seen it before. Okay, now I'm no doomsayer, but I will tell you, if you take an egg and you push it off the edge of your desk, of your table, it's going to hit the floor. Okay, the odds are incredible it's going to hit the floor. I doubt you will ever see a case where you roll an egg off the table and it hits the roof instead. It is technically possible, but hedge your bets. Don't push the egg off the table. If you're looking into electing somebody, follow somebody that is being honest from the get-go. This idea, when they start talking about what they're doing, does it make sense? And is it something that will apply to all of society? If whatever they're pushing for does not apply to everybody, I'm telling you, and don't take my word for it, do your own research. I'm telling you, if what they're pushing for does not apply to everybody, we are in serious trouble because society will fracture. Oh, there we go. In all fairness, it makes sense that there would be one. Philip goes, for example, the anti-clumping additive in garlic powder. I heard it put one day, if the tobacco companies didn't desire you to smoke, if they really wanted to stop you from smoking, quit putting addictive chemicals in the cigarettes. If politicians desire you to vote for them and to support them, you might want to insist that they're being honest. Like I love the politicians that go, I will make this happen. I am much happier with one that says, I will do my best to make this happen. Okay? Because you got to remember, they're not the only one out there. And when we're looking at the way the table is, of course they do. Yeah. Phil goes, cats do that. They push stuff off the table all the time. The neat part about the political side of things is it doesn't matter which party you're voting for. Doesn't matter which politician. Make sure they're being honest in the public's eye. Okay. Now, the reality is there's all kinds of gray areas. Okay. But here's the kicker. If the laws that are in place find there's a problem, or if your own moral guideline finds there is a problem, okay, then electing this person, backing this person in their endeavors is not necessarily your best move. Okay, I was asked one day why I don't get into politics. I did. Okay, for 4 years I was on a political board. The amount of corruption that I saw was absolutely mind-boggling. But here's the kicker. All politicians, all CEOs, all religious leaders are all people. Nathan from the Quantum Show goes, they can either take the negative stuff out of the addictive stuff out, or get out of tobacco and into something else. In other words, okay, you made your money on tobacco, now go into something else. And how about if we do, I like the way Mother Teresa put it, when she kept getting pushed to go to an anti-war rally. As she put it, I will never attend an anti-war rally. But you ever have a peace rally, I'll be there with bells on, if at all possible. When we're looking at the political arena today, it is time to look at performance. And I don't mean their performance from before. I mean in the here and now. While they're in office, see what they do. Okay? And I'm not talking about seeing whether they're working in the political office and, oh my gosh, they drink every night, but they're doing their job, and they're doing it reasonably well. You don't worry about, in all fairness, what I do in my spare time, okay, is not what you gauge whether somebody's political arena or, and when I mean political, I mean their leadership position. Okay, if you're drinking in excess, and I used to, I was an alcoholic. Okay, and a drug addict for that matter. But I always treated people decently. Ken Stockla, how you doing? Glad you could join us. When we're looking at the political arena, it's imperative we realize that every politician is a person first. They have their own personal problems. They've got their own personal concerns. They've got their own personal agendas. The thing is, in the political world, they have to be willing to put their personal agendas aside. And this means even if they have a company on the side, I don't have a problem with politicians having a company that they own. I have a problem. Thank you very much, LA. I have a problem with them playing favorites and going, oh, I'm in a political party. I'm in the political field, so I can now bolster my friends' businesses. This is wrong on so many levels in my eyes. Now, if you agree with the way it's going, be my guest, follow it, but I will give you this one caution. On the path that society is heading right now, on the political field that you're watching, that you're participating in, and by the way, if you're not voting, you're still participating in the political arena. Okay? By choosing not to vote, what you're literally telling the political field and the rest of the world that finds out about it, you're literally telling them, do what you will, it doesn't matter to me. And that is a very big complication. The funny thing is, if you go back, Ken Stockley is going, all political stuff's got to be redone. The funny thing is, when the political arenas were first put together, the concept was real. It was good. The fact is, if the laws in the political arena do not apply to everyone, then there's going to be a problem. Society will fracture. Okay? If a community is not united with the same philosophy, you're going to find that community falls apart. There's two really obvious ones that have come apart. Okay? Take a look at religion. Okay, and I'm not going down that. But the leaders of any religion are politicians. They're also people, by the way. Well, that's the funny thing, Ken. You're absolutely right. People are so busy with survival that they're ignoring what's causing the problem. Okay. And I mean, here's an obvious example we'll get to that. As a matter of fact, we will definitely get to that, but I need my list. And my pen would be an idea. I love when I do that. I got a room, here I am with my clipboard. I'm sitting in an office. I can't see my pen for looking at it. But we are going to look at, certain things don't change. What I just wrote down here is another topic that most people that have a lot of money or are well seated don't pay attention to. Okay, and that is grocery shopping with limited finance. Now understand, limited finance, to me, if you're a billionaire, you've still got limited finances. Now, Philip, I agree. Philip's just quoted in here, it's difficult to get a man to understand something when his salary depends on him not understanding it. Stated by Upton Sinclair. Now, here's the funny part. Okay, here's the really funny part about it. If you're paying attention to your finances, if you're not understanding it, is what your salary depends on, you might be in the wrong field. Now, do not get me wrong. Okay, it's a matter of politics. You gotta get your priorities. Number one, you gotta have a roof over your head. But if you're following the dictates of somebody that's off kilter, okay, well, yeah. And yeah, LA, that's an excellent idea. Okay. Oh. Now, one of the neat little things that we got to look at here. Politicians are leaders. Now, if you watch a leader, now what's happening right now is our leaders around the world are lemmings in the fourth year of their life. Now, the reason I say that is because lemmings, every 4 years, their primary food source goes sour, drives them nuts, and they go running off a cliff, except for the few stragglers. Okay, politicians are repeating the same thing. Okay, and understand, religious leaders, CEOs, company owners, individuals, every single one of them, yourselves included, are politicians. It's time to start thinking long term. Okay. And this is why I'm going down the road I am going down, because it all meshes. And the reality of it is this: if we continue following leaders that are leading us into a black abyss, what do you think you're going to find at the bottom of it? Other than a whole pile of skeletons. Now, something we've got to start looking at is, you'll notice, and thank you very much to the moderators for keeping an eye on things, because the reality is, I'm talking politicians in general. There are the occasional one that is a good politician. Absolutely. There's a good spiritual guide out there. There are good parents, as in people that guide people down the right path. Okay. But every field of industry, every field of endeavor has good people and bad ones. But it's time we stop putting the ones that are leading us into an absolute disaster. Stop putting them in power. Okay. Now, I can give all kinds of examples of different politicians I've known of that did a right thing and still got burned for it. Now, who burned them for it? The individual people. Okay. The people that are doing the voting, and or the ones that are saying, I'm not going to vote. I don't want to vote because it's all fixed anyway. Well, let's assume it is all fixed for just half a moment. Do you say nothing to anybody about it? If you bite your tongue, if it is not brought out in the open, how is it going to be changed? Okay. Now, I'm not talking about my view on politics being the best one. I'm talking about it being mine. Okay. Now, with this in mind, I've never been known to tell people things just to make them happy. The neat part about it, I will go back through the notes here, Philip, and make notes for a future rendition, because that is another one of those really dangerous topics. And like I said, I've avoided the big problems. Now what I'm doing is going, okay, how do I deal with the big problems? How do I bring them to light without getting YouTube to go, oh, we're just going to cut you off, which is a possibility. Okay. I'm just not interested in going there. And this is why I've got moderators in, to make certain that if there is a problem, they can be popped out. Because I will tell you, it's just not a whole lot of fun. Okay. These are changes that are absolutely necessary. Okay. And if we continue putting people in power or supporting companies where the people in power are, shall we say, a little less than societally organized. Okay, understand, if you're supporting big box from another city or another country and not your local community, you're sending the money, you're sending the prosperity in your community elsewhere. Okay. And yes, Ken says, I think people are waking up. Okay. And they are. And I just simply have this odd idea. If I'm going to stay on the air, I've got to be one of the people that is no longer going, oh, everything's tickety-boo and we're all being told the truth. You're not. Okay? You're absolutely not. The nice part about it is, from your end, you right here, right now, have absolute dominant control over how you deal with things. Okay. One of the things I'm going to deal with in the very near future, I can't tell you right now. Okay. But because I'm starting to put a list of things down the road to deal with, we are going to look into a lot of various different things, not the least of which is how to grocery shop effectively on a minimal budget. Okay. Absolutely, there are ways to do it. I tell you, I'm talking from the mouth of experience. Okay. But the political arena is up to you. If you vote people in that are being deceptive to start with, they're talking in terms of social segregation, of social limitation, i.e., this group of people is better than that group. If you're looking at a politician stating that, putting them in office may not be in your best interest. Philip, that's a funny thing. Philip goes, nice politicians have to work twice as hard. But I love them in all parties. Here's the thing. They have to work twice as hard because so many people ignore them and deal with the negative ones. When we start supporting the politicians that are doing the things that are working for all peoples, though, that is when your society will shift gears. If you don't start doing that now, okay, I wouldn't bet society will survive another 50 years in even this good a shape. Okay, it's up to you what the future is going to hold. I'm not going to tell you the world's going to end anytime soon. Mankind may blow itself back to the Stone Age, but the world will continue. Okay, so with that in mind, I've just noticed, are we really that late? We really are. Okay, I do appreciate you sharing your time with me tonight, guys. We are coming right down to the wire now. Where am I here? Grab this neat little thing. Tomorrow is Saturday. So we will be dealing with, what is that? The 18th. Oh, there we are. Tomorrow we are going to be dealing with physical health, a new approach. We're going to deal with those neat little things of what you can do with chronic illness. Now understand, I'm not a licensed doctor. I have never been to medical school. But having dealt with well over 100,000 clients, I am pulled people out of some remarkable setups. I will share some ideas on what you can do to get your body back in your control. Now, the nice part about it, we are down to the end, so I will say thank you so much for sharing your time with us. I will be back again tomorrow, 9 p.m. Pacific time. Okay, until then, do take care of yourselves and each other.